Once, upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this, and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books a crease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now that I stood with beating heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance upon my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance upon my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping when so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I was sure I heard you." Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore?" This I whispered, and the echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "something that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in stepped a stately raven from the saintly days of yore. Not an obscene maid he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but of mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched above a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by grave and stern decorum of the Cretonsis wore. "Though my crest be short and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what my lordly name is on the night's plutonium shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled at this ungainly fowl to hear this discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little revocably bore. For we could not help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing a bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon sculpted bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely mere muttered, "Other friends have flown before, on the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, "Doubtless," said I, "when it utters its only stock and store, come from some unhappy master whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs of burden bore, till the dregs of his hope of melancholy of burden bore, of nevermore." But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled and cushioned seat in front of the bird and bust in door. Then, upon velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking, "Nevermore." This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to foul those fiery eyes that now burned in my bosom's core. This and more I sat dividing, with my head and knees reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining of the lamp light glittered o'er, but whose velvet lining, with the lamp light glittered o'er. She shall pass, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed by an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch! I cried, thank God he has lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, a respite and then from my memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet! Said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempest set or whether tempest tossed thee there shore, desolated yet thee unhaunted, on this deserted land enchanted, on this my home horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there a blame of gone? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven bends above us, by God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if, within the distant Iden, shall I clasp a sainted maiden whom the angels name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word be a sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest of the night's plutonium shore. Leave no black plume as a token of the lie thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never fleeting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seemings of a demon that is dreaming, and the lamp light o'er his sheen throws his shadows across the floor, and my soul from out that shadow lies floating on the floor, shall be lifted nevermore.